Welcome to the Joyful Mud Puddles podcast, support you can count on in your parenting journey. Today, I am really excited to have Michelle with us. Michelle is a certified professional dog trainer, dog behavior consultant, mom, and former classroom teacher. With over 16 years of teaching experience, Michelle loves both human and canine members of dog families, which shows in her warm, supportive demeanor with clients. She specializes with working with families who are expecting babies and those who already have children and dogs. Michelle also has a free Facebook group called Parenting Kids and Dogs, and I'm going to be sure to have all her contact information at the end of the podcast and in the show notes. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's so fun to be here.
It's perfect timing. I was just telling you before we recorded that my boys are currently after us to get a dog. So I'm here to soak in all your goodness. My husband grew up with dogs, and we had my sisters and I, when we were probably closer to being teenagers. So having little ones and dogs is very new to us.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing when you are yourself a child and you grow up with dogs and you don't have any of that responsibility of keeping family members safe. And then now we're sort of in the driver's seat and we have to not only keep this new creature alive, but we also have to keep our kids safe from the dog, but we also have to keep our dogs safe from our kids. And that's something that we often forget about, is that oftentimes our kids are so excited that there's a new dog in the house that they manhandle the dog, they hug the dog, and they do all these things. And a lot of dogs really don't like that. And so we need to make sure that we are monitoring all the time to keep everybody safe, not only physically safe, but emotionally safe too. So we don't want our kids to become afraid, and we don't want our dogs to become afraid either.
I love that you look at the whole picture, not just like, okay, you've got a dog and you just feed it. Like, a lot of people don't think about everything that it encompasses. Because You're so right, depending on the child. My youngest, he like overly loves things, and I worry about the poor toads he catches and stuff, let alone an actual pet in the house.
Yeah, it's, it's so funny, the toads. It's totally true. I mean, I have clients and students and community members that have kids on this huge range of a spectrum, from neurotypical kids to kids on the autism spectrum, and kids who have different skills and developmental stages can react differently to dogs. Some don't recognize dog body language because they don't have the ability to do that. And some people just don't know that dog body language is even a thing. And so for parents, one of the things that I love coaching parents on is how to read their dog, because as this mediator that you will become when you add a dog to your family, if you can kind of keep an eye on the dog and notice how the dog is feeling simply based on what you're seeing with the dog's body language, you are so much ahead of the game, because the kids aren't necessarily developmentally ready to be able to read how the dog is feeling. And so we have to help and be sort of an interpreter for the whole family. So it's something that a lot of people don't think about, but it's a really big piece of the puzzle to keep everybody feeling safe.
That is really good insight. Like, I hadn't even thought of that. I know that, wagging tail is happy, but is there any other obvious signs?
Well, so that's an interesting point. So wagging tails, we think mean the dog is happy, but in actuality, the tail can move in different ways, and it can even wag even under extreme stress. So it's pretty interesting. I know this is kind of mind-blowing, but the idea that you can have a wagging tail that's like this slow, big, sweeping tail where the dog's whole body is loose and wiggly, and the dog is so bendy that maybe the tail is hitting itself in the face, right? Because the dog is just like floppy and flexible. That's what we really want. But you can also have a dog that's frightened or alert or letting you know about something, and that dog's tail is high and is doing this very quick wag. So we get a lot of people who end up in a dangerous situation because they say the dog bit out of nowhere. There were no warnings. And I said, well, I need to break it to you. There were actually a lot of warnings, but nobody taught you how to read them. So you don't know what you don't know. And there are a variety of signs. So I want to answer your question. So in addition to the wagging tail, not always meaning what we think it means, there are a variety of other expressions of feeling, of stress, of fear. Things like simply a dog flicking its tongue when it hasn't just had food or water. So if a dog starts to lick its lips, kind of like a frog or whatever, tongue in and out, that's a sign of stress. Or if the dog looks away, let's say a toddler is coming towards a dog with a noisy toy and the dog averts its eyes. This is the dog saying, hey, I'm giving you a calming signal. I'm really uncomfortable with your approach. That toy is loud and I'm not feeling safe. And I'm going to look away and I hope you go away. But toddlers don't know that. Most adults don't know that. So, little things like that. There's even sometimes a dog standing who may be feeling loose and suddenly tightens its body or gets stiff or closes its mouth. These can all be signs that the dog is becoming increasingly uncomfortable.
Wow. I really didn't know that. I'm so glad that you're out there to be able to, help families and inform them of all these different things.
Yeah.
So what would you say to a family who is thinking of getting a dog? Because everyone's like, oh, we need a family pet. And I want my kids to grow up with a family pet. So are there any key things we should look for?
Definitely. Absolutely. So first of all, I think it's really important that you're honest, because I have fallen victim to this myself. And I know a ton of other people have as well. And I see it because clients call me because maybe they realize that they have made a mistake, or they need to know if they can salvage a situation that maybe has gone south. My favorite is when people ask me this question before they get the dog in the first place, because then we can have a truly honest conversation and we can do sort of an assessment of their life and of their lifestyle and of their budget even. And I actually have a blog post on my website. I'll get you the actual link to it, but
yes, that'd be great.
I think it's called, Did We Get the Wrong Dog for Our Family? And I realize that the title of the post implies that you can evaluate the situation afterwards, but it includes an assessment to look at. If you're proactive enough, you can use that same assessment before you get the dog. So it's a really nice resource because I take you through a variety of steps to think about your family. So for example, what is your energy level? Like for real, your energy level, not the, I wish we were a hiking family, but are you a hiking family? And there is absolutely no shame in the fact that maybe as a family, you prefer to watch movies on a weekend than the family who's out gallivanting around and hiking and visiting fun, adventurous locations. You are not a bad person either way, but you have to be honest and you need to own the reality of your life, not the life you wish you had, but the one you're living at the moment, because the needs of the dogs that you bring into your family are going to impact your entire lifestyle. So if you are the let's hang out and have a game night or watch movies family, but you get the hiking dog, it's a recipe for disaster, because dogs will give themselves their own job to do. And that might mean destroying your house or digging up your yard or barking and driving everybody crazy. Because what we need to remember is that dogs were all bred for a reason. And you've got herding dogs and you've got guard dogs and you've got, all kinds of different kinds of dogs that have been bred for a purpose. And then we bring them into a home that might be the complete opposite of what that creature was intended for. And then people complain that the dog is too hard or is making their life difficult or is chasing their kids, but they got a herding dog. And a herding dog is going to chase your kids. So you have to do your research and you really need to know what you're getting. Now, if you're going to a shelter, which most people do, you don't always know what you're getting, but you need to make your best guess based on what the shelter is telling you this dog is. Now, a ton of times they're going to say it's a lab mix. That's not good information. They're making their best guess, but you really don't know. You may find out later that the dog is something else, but you need to do the best you can, and you can evaluate the dog's energy at the time you see them. I would encourage, some organizations will let you foster a dog before you adopt it so that you can do sort of a trial run, see what the dog is like in your household before you commit to that lifetime, the next 14, 15, 16 years of your life together. So it will totally depend. But I think being honest is the number one thing you need to do, because some dogs, for example, need a ton of grooming and it's really expensive. And if you're not prepared to have a budget for that, then that's not the right dog for you either. So money, energy, the amount of exercise needs it has. Are you in an apartment, but you have a dog who needs to run? Do you have a huge property, but you've got a lap dog, which is fine. I mean, lap dogs live anywhere, so that can be good. But so things like that really matter.
That is really helpful for us. I know for our family, allergies are also another factor that we have to consider, and find that right mix that's going to work for us as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So what other tips do you have for families as far as like helping the kids be safe around the dogs?
So I think that it's really important that you have, again, I always go back to honesty and clear communication, but I think that it's really important that you have many family meetings before the dog joins the family and that you discuss expectations, because kids often think that getting a dog is fun and exciting and they're getting a new companion and they're getting maybe a new toy. And dogs have feelings and dogs are entitled to their own opinion, and dogs don't always like to do the things that kids like to do, and they have the right to express that. And puppies, a lot of families love to get a puppy because it's this amazing dream of like, we want our kids and dogs to grow up together and be best friends. And that is possible if you set the stage correctly. But if you don't talk about expectations in advance, then you end up with kids that their dreams are shattered because you're saying no all the time. And as a mom, you're saying no anyway about extra candy and extra adventures during a pandemic. And I mean, I feel like we're just constantly like managing life and expectations with our kids, and no, you can't have that, and maybe you can have this, but you need to earn that. And then you bring home a puppy and the kids want to snuggle it and hug it and carry it around the house, and all of those things are kind of bad ideas, because kids, for example, are physically imbalanced because of the developmental stage that they're at, right? They don't have super good muscle coordination or good strength or the foresight of what could go wrong. And so you can imagine that maybe the 7-year-old picks up the puppy to carry it somewhere, and the kiddo stumbles, or the puppy starts wiggling and falls. Well, now not only have you possibly hurt the puppy physically, but maybe the puppy now doesn't trust your child. And then every time your child moving forward goes to grab the puppy reacts in a negative way, right? So I think it's really important to talk about what is okay, what is not okay. And also to really remember that puppies, like newborn babies, they need between 16 and 20 hours of sleep a day. And when you have kids that are constantly interrupting that and trying to play with the puppy all the time and interact with it and stuff, that you're disrupting sleep, which then causes major behavior problems, biting, chasing, devil puppy kind of stuff. And some of that's normal. Puppies they're like little land sharks, and you need to go in knowing that there will be blood. But you can reduce that by better management and better expectations, because you need to set the pup up to succeed as well as your kids.
Land sharks. That's such a good description. I remember when we had a dog when I was little, I actually boxed up all my toys and labeled it like my stuffy's hiding from the dog. I think the dog knew I wasn't really warming up to it, and it would just go after my stuff.
Well, and honestly, and this is another issue. So again, going back to like your management style as a parent, if your house is a free-for-all, then the dog is going to take inappropriate things. So if your shoes are out, if your purse is on the floor, if your nice wallet is sitting somewhere, if the kids' toys are out, they're going to get eaten, they're going to get stolen, they're going to be chewed. So management is really important. And it is a good time to sort of assess, am I ready to take my organization up to the next level? Am I ready to say, okay, now these are the shelves where the toys go. These are the bins that the toys go in on those shelves. You can still see them, but the puppy doesn't have access anymore. Because again, I mean, it's all about setting everybody up for success. And if you have a mess out, then who can blame the puppy for stealing those items? They were out. How does the puppy know that they're not for them and that they're for the kids, right? Toys are toys. And so you have to decide how much management and policing and, you know, all that stuff that you want to be adding on to your daily routine.
This is all this information. I love that your puppies have such a, they're in on the show too. This is cool.
I know. Yeah. He heard something scary outside and it startled him. Come here, you. Let me pick him up. Let's see if he'll come up here. Come here, you. Oh, my little guy. Oh, there you go. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
He has some anxiety. Hey. So this is something that's worth mentioning, actually. And I'm going to use this as a teachable moment because I'm a teacher. 16 years as a teacher. I might as well. So this is my first dog that I've ever gotten from a breeder. And I did a lot of research and I thought that I was setting myself up for total success and he was supposed to be my easy dog. Well, he's not, you know, angry. He's worried right now. Hey, you're okay. You're okay. And he's got some anxiety. And this is a teachable moment because a lot of families think that if they get a dog from a breeder that it's going to be the perfect dog. And then there are a lot of feelings around when the dog is still a dog and that the dog is still, like we talked about before, you know, a creature with feelings and, you know, it's absolutely entitled to be worried about some crazy noise that it heard outside because it's not used to that. So I have seen clients, and this is a really important thing to mention because you've got so many families. That's who we're talking to. Hi, families. And people sometimes make assumptions. So for example, I had a family, they contacted me because the puppy, well, they just wanted originally puppy training. And so I went in and it was really fun because I worked with the kids. And so we did lessons where I talked to the parents some and did lessons with the parents, but then every other session I did with the kids and it was super fun. This was when I could go to their house, but now I do that over video. And it was a golden retriever. And the reason they got a golden retriever was because they are, quote, I'm using air quotes here, they are supposed to be good family dogs. And they often are, you know, golden retrievers are lovely dogs, but this one wasn't. And at first it was, you know, the training was going great and it was normal puppy stuff, but then it escalated and it became really clear that this dog was not balanced. And it was a really, really hard thing to go through because the dog had some aggressive issues that were inappropriate for a puppy. And it doesn't happen very often, but it did happen here. And so we all had a lot of tears and a lot of conversations and a lot of coaching. And, you know, I sort of gave them a script of what to say to the breeder and have this conversation about what's going on and stuff. And they ultimately returned the puppy to the breeder because it was not safe. Their quality of life had diminished for getting this dog. It had not been enhanced, right? And we want a dog to add to our family, not to make our lives miserable. And this goes back to the blog post that I wrote, Did We Get the Wrong Dog for Our Family? And this was partly inspired by what they went through. It's worth, again, I keep saying it, but going back to the honesty thing of like, how far are you willing to go? What kind of sacrifices and compromises are you willing to make? This is not going to happen to most people, right? But I do want people to know that if it does happen to them, it's very unlikely to be their fault. I don't like it when people feel guilty and have shame and things like that over these kinds of situations, because sometimes genetically you get what you get. My dog is a perfect example of that. You know, I think perhaps some mistakes were made with the dad dog that was chosen to breed, and he had some anxiety, which then transferred in. And I am frustrated about that because I thought I was being careful, but it was not my fault. I didn't create this problem. And I just want your listeners to know that sometimes things go perfect and amazing, and sometimes they don't. But when it all comes down to it, it's really important that you just find somebody, a dog professional that you can trust and that you can talk to, and that has compassion for you, and doesn't shame you. Not all dog trainers are great with families with kids because they chose to work with dogs and not with children. And so I just, you know, there are a variety of people out there, and there are a ton of really good people out there. I am one of them. I feel really good about my work with families because I'm a mom and I was a teacher for 16 years. And now I'm a dog trainer, and I have brought this whole package of my whole history up until now into this perfect little package with a bow on top of like, oh my God, this is amazing, because I can totally relate to moms because, hello, I've done it. And I can relate to other parents from a teacher perspective. And I love working with the kids too. Plus I'm realistic because I know that you're going to have toys out. And I know that you wish you didn't, but you do. And so what are we going to do about that instead? And I know that you're not going to commit to training your dog for an hour a day. I don't even commit to training my dog for an hour every day. So what can we do in 5 minutes? What can we do in 3 minutes today and tomorrow? And, you know, maybe another time, so that we can make progress in small little increments, right? As opposed to setting these insane expectations that a busy family with chaos is not going to accomplish. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox now.
Michelle, I love you. You're just so real and honest. I mean, that's what we need. Busy moms don't need fancy people going off on how perfect it's all going to be. Like, you are honest about all of this, and I really hope everyone listening like truly appreciates that, because
thank you.
That's exactly what we want. I don't need this, you know, I just need someone real, someone who's actually going to get in there and actually help us.
Yeah,
without making us feel guilty. I mean, we already put enough guilt on ourselves for not being what's in our heads as ideal families.
I know.
We just need someone to come alongside and guide us. And you also pointed out you pointed out two really great key things that are perfect for this discussion about pets and dogs, but also like we use this in our real family life, is being real and honest, and family meetings. I mean, family meetings are something I tell all my clients to do because you want the whole family on board, especially when it comes to the dog, because it's going to affect everyone, but how the children react really is also going to depend on how much they feel heard and understood as well. So I think that's an important one to note, that make sure you have these honest conversations with yourself, with your partners, as well as the kids, so that they know clearly what's going to be coming and what to expect.
Yeah. I started a new membership program during the pandemic. It's really what I've been spending the bulk of my time on. The garbage truck is outside, so if we bark, this is what we're barking at, just in case. He's never seen it before, but we're in a front room of my house. The membership is exactly that. It is real. It is honest. It is small bits of information with it's mostly moms, to keep it real. Because I don't care if your dog sits with its feet tucked the right position. I couldn't care less. So what I do care about is that your dog doesn't bolt out the front door when you get a delivery. And what I care about is that when the pandemic is over, if you have play dates, that the kids visiting your house don't feel unsafe because your dog is so excited to see them. And I care about that the dog doesn't bark and wake up the baby or the toddler, or you if you need a nap and you're lucky enough to get one. So the membership is exactly what you said you like, luckily what you said you liked about what I'm trying to do, which is, you know, we cycle through these monthly themes of stuff that matters to families, not just something you're learning in a classroom or an obedience series of Puppy 101, because you don't always apply what you're learning in Puppy 101 to like your actual life. So I'm going to help you make dinner and not trip on your dog, or feed the kids and not have the dog steal the sandwich right out of their hand, right? Like, this is the stuff that I try really hard to focus on, is the stuff that matters to parents. And so the membership includes, you know, dog training demos and lessons, of course, but it's like also half support group. It's, you know, people will post like, I feel like my husband is undermining me, or, you know, I'm worried that my husband's going to make me get rid of our dog because he's harder than we thought it would be. And it's a lot of virtual hugging and support and things like that, because it's very easy to feel alone. But then it's also, you've got somebody you can ask questions, you know, sort of me on call within reason, obviously, but you can ask questions of somebody who knows. And if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll ask somebody who does know, because I don't want to leave people feeling stuck. So I like that you pointed out the things that you thought were good about my work, because I am excited about those things, and nobody's really doing a membership like what I'm doing for parents. So I'm pretty excited about it.
So how can we find you? Where are you?
So the membership right now, I'm getting ready to open registration in the fall. So sometime late September, early October, but you can get on the wait list for it. So if you just want relief and you want to stop being overwhelmed and you want to stop worrying about like who to trust and where to piece together information from like the entire world of the internet, which is, in my opinion, very overwhelming, and you can get really bad advice. The website is a mouthful, so I apologize, but you know, it is what it is. So thrivingparentsofkidsanddogs.com. It's a lot to say. So Thriving Parents of Kids and Dogs, that's the name of the membership, and that'll take you to the wait list, and you can get on the wait list, and you will be the very first to know when I open the registration again. But I am really excited about the stuff that I'm building. A couple of the things that are included in there that I'm super excited about is that my members get to do 15-minute one-on-one coaching sessions with me that we share with the other members in the group, because you have a question that is likely to be a similar question to somebody else, but yet I get to know you. I get to talk to you, and we get to, you know, get to know each other. I learn more about your dog, because ultimately then I can help more people with specific things that they need, right? So that's a huge, really, really nice feature of the program. I do Q&A calls where people can ask questions, and then I do coaching sessions and answer these questions. But because we're all time poor as parents, I'll give you a timestamp in the video of when I'm answering your question. So if you want to listen to the other stuff, you can, but you don't have to. You can just get right to yours, get your question answered, and then be on with your day. Because seriously, who has time to like listen to an hour-long thing and hope you figure out where I'm answering your question? So there's things like that. I do a few special interviews with other dog training professionals who are experts in their field. Those are extra little bonuses. And of course, dog training demos and lessons and articles and things come throughout. But I try really hard not to take more than an hour of your time a week. So it's geared exactly for busy parents and provides a ton of value. And my main goal, honestly, I have two, actually. Number one, I want moms to feel sane while they're navigating this journey, right? I want you to not be a stress case. So that's number one of the two goals. And the second goal is that I want your kids and dogs to be safe. I don't want your dog to bite your kid and end up euthanized or end up in the shelter because you are like, forget it, I can't do this, right? Obviously, that was inappropriate. I can't keep you anymore. And I want your child not to get hurt, not to end up in the ER, not to be getting stitches, not to have a big problem, or somebody who visits you to have that same problem, right? So I want you to be responsible and proactive and safe, but not lose your mind while that's all happening. So that's really, it's my passion project, and I'm so excited about it.
And we are going to have all that information in the show notes
Thank
and
you.
on the blog post that goes with the podcast as well.
Great.
So
Yeah.
everything
And then
will
in
be
the meantime, though, I also have a free Facebook group called Parenting Kids and Dogs. And that's really fun. People in there are so nice and supportive. I've had comments of people saying, this is the only place I can ask this question because anywhere else I post it, people attack me, you know, stuff like that. So we get it. We're in the trenches with you. And that's fun. It's a really supportive, nice place to be. And I do answer some questions in there as well. But of course, the membership is where we dive deeper and you get more support.
excellent. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I hope that your family, you know, evaluates whether you're ready for a dog. And if you need help, feel free to call me. I'd be happy to help you through
I
it.
will keep you updated on how that goes in the
I
program.
can't wait. I want you to spam me with pictures if it happens.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
It was great to be here. Thanks.